Hello, and welcome to today's Training Industry Leader Talk, using AI to transform content development, sponsored by Axonify, ELB Learning, IMC Learning, SweetRush, and Xylene. I'm Dee Caraglino, event producer and your host for today. Before we dive into this next session, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items to help you interact with our speaker and get the most out of today's session. Throughout the event, please feel free to put your comments into the chat window and submit your questions through the Q&A window. We'll be monitoring those comments and saving your questions for Q&A toward the end of the session. I have enabled closed captions for this event, and you may select to turn those on or off by locating the closed caption icon in your toolbar. We encourage you to share the information you received today via social media. We will be engaging in the X/Twitter conversation throughout the event, so please feel free to join in there. At the end of your time with us, you'll notice a short survey has popped open in your browser, and we'd appreciate your thoughts on today's event. And lastly, all of these sessions are being recorded and will be archived on trainingindustry.com, and you'll receive a follow-up email from us with a link to the on-demand sessions. If this is your first Training Industry event, we'd like to welcome you. Training Industry exists to make connections among learning and development professionals. We offer many resources to support your role in L&D, through live events like today's Leader Talk, as well as through articles on our website, a magazine, conferences, research reports, and our podcast. Make Training Industry your go-to resource for learning solutions and visit trainingindustry.com to learn more. And now I would like to introduce our speaker, Oliver Nussbaum. He is Managing Director at IMC Learning and an entrepreneur and e-learning pioneer. Tell us more, and we're so happy to have you with us.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you. All right, then I just jump right into it, and I'll just share my screen with you. Hello from Austria, and a very warm welcome to my part of the event. It's going to be about practical examples of AI in content creation, yes, the whole event, but we're going to be talking mainly about how it's going to be with authoring tools, what are e-learning authoring tools providing in terms of AI help within the content creation process. First of all, a few words about me and the company. I'm representing, yes, I've got more than 25 years of experience with, which means I'm really old in terms of tech talk. I live in Austria with my family, and our son is constantly using GPT to make his homework. So yeah, I'm on the one hand very happy and glad that we're there, and on the other hand, I'm a bit annoyed that it's gone so easy to do something that used to be hard. IMC itself is a German-based technology company which was founded way back then in the last millennium, and we have subsidiaries all over the globe, and really trying to, as you've seen in the video, trying to provide great learning experience to all our clients. Anyways, that's enough of advertisement. We should jump directly into what we're going to talk about today. First of all, I want to give you a bit of, a setting, where we are, why AI and content creation really seem a good fit. What are the major players? We've heard a lot about OpenAI today, which is, of course, the main topic and the main buzz at the moment. And I will also talk about how it came to be that e-learning authoring just ended up using AI today. And I'm gonna show you some practical examples within the slides. No software, just slides with practical examples on how e-learning authoring tools are using generative AI. And I really want to show you what you can do at this point in time, and talk a little bit about the future, although that is in flux. It's so much. There's so much happening at the moment that in a few months anything will be different again. But it's very, very interesting the way it goes with AI at the moment. And then we have time for question and answers. And if we have the time or have time left, I can show you how it's actually working in an e-learning authoring solution, and I'll even send you a link on the file, and you can try it out later and have fun with it. All right. The setting. What has actually led to this point? If we're talking about e-learning development software or e-learning authoring solutions, you probably have different terms in the United States than we do in Europe. But since this is such a worldwide event, as it seems, you forgive me if I use like European terms a bit more. So in the 1990s, that was actually when I started, 1996, with the company. Anything considered training was either classroom training or video-based training. Then the word computer-based training started. So I don't need to educate you, you know all that. And basically, for a long time, anything that has been developed, anything that has come to the market from the first appearance of authoring tools in the early 2000s to rapid authoring solutions and you know, other things that came up like mobile learning that began to gain in importance in around, let's say, a little bit after the iPhone came out, because there haven't been any very good mobile devices to choose from. But nowadays it seems so established, and it seems so normal that we're looking onto our phones to actually get information or gather information. It's become really important. And anything that has been developed up until a certain point was specifically for instructional designers, in the beginning even for programming people. So we've invested a lot of time programming e-learning content. Now we're not programming anymore. Basically, we're using advanced authoring solutions to create trainings, to create e-learnings. And still, the instructional designers, those specialists, there were people in every company were specialists, basically creating trainings. And that has changed in the last few years, not only with AI coming up, but also with with the need to actually create more content than ever before. I know there's a discussion going on between specialists. Is it really necessary to produce that much content? Do we need all that, or is it just, digital waste that we're producing? Some of it is, admittedly, that's absolutely true. But a lot of what we're producing is really important, because there is so much information in companies and organizations that needs to be brought to an audience in a way that makes sense, other than just writing documents, having textual, wastelands in intranets and stuff like that. So that it is really important that we need to make the next step in terms of content production, content creation. If we're talking about e-learning authoring tools, there is this trend really that goes from having only instructional designers to be able to create content to citizen developers, as it's named here, but you can also call it user-generated training. You can call it employee-generated training, whatever it is. The fact remains that the subject matter experts within companies need to be able to also produce meaningful e-learning content. And that has been a bit hard up until this point because of three things, actually. First of all, software tends to be a bit complicated. It doesn't always look like that, but still e-learning authoring tools tended to be more complicated than writing an email, you know. Second point is, if you're thinking about creating e-learning content, you always need to think about design, how it's going to look on the screen, how it's going to be designed so that it works on a mobile phone and also on a PC. And thirdly, it is not easy for everyone to tell a story. So not everyone is a born storyteller. I mean, we won't be, you know, changing that, incorporating a tool or an easier looking authoring software, but AI really helped in that aspect because since the large text model that it incorporates is really helping to create better texts as we've seen today, you know. When ChatGPT creates a training content, it always sounds a bit better or reads a bit better than if we let's say, some expert for a machine write it, because they have their strength and instructional designers have their strengths. So everything, I think, has led to this point. I've been involved personally in the development of 4 authoring products up until this day. And when we started with our latest product, which is called IMC Express, it was really like, you know, we had a totally different audience in mind. So the question is now, for you, we've prepared some polls that you know, this is the 3rd session, so you don't, you know, sleep away. We've prepared 3 questions for you, and this is about really user-generated content creation. Are you thinking about it or doing it already? Please make sure that you cross on what you think is right. We'll give it a few moments. I think Dee said she will give you like half a minute or so, or minutes to cross the sentences that you really think fit. You know, I basically think I know the answer, but it's always interesting. So that's interesting. So it says that absolutely no way we're letting experts create the content. It's like 9%, and 41% is thinking about it, but still has concerns, which is totally understandable. And 38% are doing it on a small scale, and actually 12% of you are already doing it, which is great, I think. Yeah. Anyways, that's been very interesting. That's actually what I expected. And I think if we're looking at the next slide, it's pretty easy to understand why we are at this point. I mean, generally, there are countries in the world that adopt things faster and businesses that adopt things faster. But if we look at what Deloitte says about adoption rate, that really proves that technologies move faster and faster. So if you look at the orange orange line, which is the technology, that really starts to shoot up the sky. It really grows exponentially, technology, and individuals like to follow, but can't follow all the time because there are so many things now evolving that it's hard to follow. But in general, people are interested and they try to follow. And then you have the businesses, which are basically, it's like individuals are, if you think about it, a one-person car that can go where the person wants to, and then you have the businesses, basically buses and trains and and larger entities that don't move as fast. They don't always go in the same direction than the individuals want to go. And then there's the public policy following it very, very, very slowly. There are a lot of things to discuss then. If I just think about what happens in Europe now with AI, so they're trying to come up with a political solution in order how to deal with artificial intelligence and everything that emerges from that place, and they haven't even started, So the adoption rate is something that's always a bit of a concern, and I totally understand that. That's why the poll was like it was, But is it really with AI? Is it really as slow as it's displayed here? I think it is not. I think in case of AI, it's faster this time because the technology is so relevant to personal advancement and of the individual, and also so vital in conquering challenges that we have in e-learning content creation at the moment, that I think we will wait and see if it's really that slow. I think it's going to be faster because there are certain challenges I think that may speed up the adoption rate of AI. So basically 3 things that we've discovered, and we have hundreds of clients, actually thousands of clients all over the world, and we're monitoring what they're doing, and a lot of them are telling us that knowledge nowadays must be made available in really a timely and targeted manner. We need to be fast, and the existing structures that are in place in a lot of companies are no longer that suitable than they were before, Like I said, content development in terms of e-learning content development has been done by, external agencies or internal specialized departments with very few people. And this will stay in place, You always need the experts. You always will need the external agencies in order to create really cool content like we've seen today, and also to create some, high-level content. True. But many companies have really, really limited resources, and at the same time are really confronted with ever-increasing demands. That means they don't have the resources, and oops, I see it's a spelling mistake here. Sorry about that. They don't have the resources, and they don't have the people to actually create all that, or they don't have the money to go to a number of agencies and tell them, create us the content we need, because it would be too much. And the time it takes to create content used to be measured in weeks and months and not in days or hours. So that's why the market is trending towards a layer that hasn't been there before. It has been there in in YouTube and Facebook and all the other social media tools where we have users generating content, but it has been there in e-learning. So the user-generated content part is really something that came up in the last couple of years, and it exactly, fills in with the need that companies are having at the moment, that they have really an increase in demands of, creating content and don't have the resources for it. So subject matter experts should be able to create e-learning content that has a certain level. In the past, everyone created e-learning content using Word, PowerPoint, and that stuff. But that's not something we want for the future. We want something that's quick and efficient, but also nice and great to look on any device. And if we look into the major foundation models for AI, we've seen a couple today. There are basically two types of models. There is the service model, like OpenAI provides with GPT 3.5 and 4, and like Palm 2 or Gemini from Google, which just came up. And there's also major AI model providers that provide models that you can use to train your own specialized AI. There are specialized AIs, and then there are general AIs. Specialized AIs are termed as stupid AI, and and the general AI is termed as the most knowledgeable. But these are the models that are out there today that have any impact on the market or are meaningful for the market at this point. So now I've talked a lot, probably too much, about the setting, how it's going to be. So the idea is e-learning authoring tools should be able to, used by a lot of people, not only experts, also subject matter experts, other people in documentation, people in, creating other stuff that is connected to e-learning. And now I want to show you some practical examples on, how it can look in an e-learning authoring tool. To be fair to you, I have to mention that I used our own content creation software, IMC Express, for most of the examples, for most of the screenshots, because I think we can actually look at a complete picture here. But please don't think that other tools are not capable of doing this. Everyone is jumping on the AI train at the moment. If we're talking about Articulate or any of the other players, they're trying to come up with things like that. And these are just so representations. So the question number 2 I would pose to you is, are you already using AI-powered content creation tools? And if not, would you want to? It's basically a bit of a different question than we had before. I know not a lot of you are already incorporating it, to some extent, but what is it you want? You don't want to, you're not allowed, you want to, but haven't found the right ones yet, or you're already using them? That's basically a similar question like the other one. So give you a few seconds to answer, and then we move on with the practical examples. So that's really something I'm interested in, because wow, okay. So basically only 1%, one person out of 117 doesn't want to. Okay, great. You're entitled to have your opinion. Also, you're not allowed to there are a bit more. Yes, there are some things, that are not, totally clear to anyone, but I think it's with all fear-related things. You need to know what it does and how it does it, and then I think the fear goes away. And then want to, but haven't found the right one yet. Yes, 50% I expected something like that, and already using them. 35%. Bravo, you basically one of the first movers within the content tools, within the e-learning content tools. Okay, let's take a look at a few practical examples. First practical example is translation. We've done it for quite a while. We've translated stuff, but with the machine learning that came up with the large language models, tools like DeepL just have a better understanding of text than any traditional translation software. If you look at what the Google Translator did a while back, and if you compare it to AI tools now, this is so much better than traditional translation software. They are able to understand the meaning of a paragraph. They understand the meaning and translate it correctly. And the results in the really most common languages, I'm not talking about really some dialect of Afrikaans or Kiswahili or whatever it is, but just the main languages, they are so good that you can't even decide if it's been done by a professional translator or the machine. So that's great. But as we've heard before today, don't believe everything that comes out of it. Take a look at it. Probably 95 to 98% is great. The other things you need to take a look at it. I've provided you with a screenshot here that shows how it's done. So you can add a language, for example, add that. That's how, in my opinion, how easy it should be. Add that language. Let's say we want to add Italian to our content, and it immediately applies it and translates it into the content. And the content should be, in my opinion, available in all languages you like to, but it should all be in the same content and not, produce different files for any type of language you have. So what is the advantage? I think global companies, global organizations are now able to offer content with, in the national languages. It doesn't need to be perfect, but if I'm talking about, if I'm thinking about the large Hispanic mass of people in the United States, or a lot of countries in Europe that have subsidiaries in like 15 different countries with 15 different languages, it's still much better to have something in my mother tongue than to have it in English or any other language that I probably understand, but not as good as my own. So this is a great thing. On the other hand, the disadvantage will be that some jobs will be going away in the future. The translation agencies basically will have a problem. I'm pretty sure they will. So the next one is text to speech. That's also, with Alexa and Siri. I don't know if this is the same name in the United States, but the Amazon voices are called Alexa in Austria, and Siri is the Apple version of it. So they started to have AI generated voices, and it really found the way into our everyday life, And OpenAI recently released voices that almost sound like real people. And the prediction everyone is saying at the moment is in 2 to 3 years, it's really artificial voices will no longer be distinguishable from real ones. And if we listen to them,
The objective is to provide helpful tips for establishing and sustaining healthy work from home habits.
I hope you could hear that, but that was something that was old, of 2021. 2 years ago, it sounded a bit better already.
The objective is to provide helpful tips for establishing and sustaining healthy work from home habits.
it sounded good to me because, you know, I'm not a native speaker. But the last one now is actually the OpenAI voice, which can pronounce things and, you know, listen to it.
The objective is to provide helpful tips for establishing and sustaining healthy work from home habits.
And that means to me that, you know, the advantages are clear, that the costs for professional speakers and dubbing and all that synchronization can be saved in most cases, surely not all of them, but it's also great in terms of accessibility. If you know, if you're blind or hearing or impaired in you know, can't see a thing, then it's always great to hear something. That trainings for disabled people are, you know, very hard to make, but this makes it a lot easier, because if you listen to a natural sounding voice that's available immediately, that's really great. So this is the second thing that really is a great help. And also another one is that AI helps with video subtitling, and it combines several steps. The first step would be actually that the audio track must be analyzed. Second step is that based on the analysis of the audio track, the tool then determines which text passages are combined into sentences, because it doesn't know that. And finally, the subtitles can be translated into other languages by the AI. Yes, we've seen it on YouTube, we've seen it everywhere, basically. But now I think authoring tools should also be able to do that. This is how it can look. It's also a screenshot of our tool, so you can generate subtitles. It knows that's actually an English video, but it can be translated to German at any time. So what is the great advantage to it? It makes it really possible to shoot videos in one language and save the costs of the dubbing in all the other languages, but still you have the subtitles in your mother tongue, preferably, which is great. So this is all about, you know, sound and subtitling and translation. And then there's also a new thing that came up 2 years ago, I think. It was the AI avatar videos, and here are two examples of great products. I think one is Colossian and the other one's Synthesia. I mean, there are lots and lots of others as well. But AI avatar videos, video tools are really popular, but still a bit artificial looking, a bit, I must say, and a bit costly to use, because if you're producing content and changing the line ever so often, it always, you know, clicks the dollar or euro button and and the money starts to fall down. But I think the tools are great and are definitely worth taking a look into it. Naturally, they are not as easy to use for the average John Doe or Jane Doe, for subject matter experts. These would be tools that might be used by ID or instructional designers, by specialists, e-learning specialists, and so on. So the advantage is clear for me. It gives your content more variation, gives it a better look, and at the same time saves costs for time-consuming video shoots. I mean, this is where a lot of magic will happen with AI in the future. We need to see what comes up with, for example, OpenAI Sora. If you look at those videos on YouTube, where it generates a real looking video out of a prompt, I mean, there were comments I've read there that said, "Fellow humans, we had a good run, but it's over." I don't agree, but still, I think there are great things coming up. And then what it does best at the moment, in my point of view, which we've seen already today, is that it rewrites text in a great way. It's, you know, it can rewrite it in different ways. If you want to have, you know, a text that sounds a bit Shakespearean or whatever, sounds like poetic stuff, you can change that. you can have simple language. You can rewrite something that everyone's able to understand, because people, as I said in the beginning, with little understanding of storytelling are just, unable to write something that's easily readable. And you can either copy and paste it directly from ChatGPT, like we've seen today, or you have content tools like MC Express in place, where you create the necessary prompts within your project automatically. If you click on the text and you click on the AI component, it should give you options like shorten the text because it's too long, or simplify it because it's just not clearly readable, it's too heavy, it's all in one sentence, whatever it is. You can expand it, you can rewrite it, you can rewrite it in an educational way, create a funny version out of neutral speech, positive speech. These are things, it's just a one click, and then it adds the new text. So this is a simplified text. Doesn't mean it's shorter, but it means it's simpler to read, and you can add it, replace it, something like that. So rewriting complicated or really excessively long text is really shortening the processing time and for learners, and helps really subject matter experts to produce more comprehensible text, because we've seen it all. We've analyzed hundreds of contents from our clients and taken a look what they look like and how it's written. So it's a bit of a wasteland actually, but that really helps, and that is something that helps now at this point. And what you can also do with AI is you can create interactivity, because we all know that, for example, creating a multiple choice question is a hard task, because you can formulate the question, no problem. I mean, no problem. I wouldn't say no problem, but it's easier to actually have the right answer to it. But find 2, 3, or 4 good wrong answers is really hard, and it takes time. It's time consuming, and I think creating interactivity like flip cards, swipe cards, multiple choice questions, stuff like that is very interesting. But as I stated here, is that generative AI really can't distinguish between right and wrong that good, Always check all AI texts for correctness. I mean, we've heard that a couple of times today. So if you're writing something or creating something, just make sure you need to know what you're talking about. So because sometimes the AI just outrightly lies and, and does funny stuff. But I wouldn't really have a fear that it's totally wrong. No, I don't think it is. It's 99.9% right. It does a really good job, but just make sure you double check it. Don't let anything loose without taking a look at it, So this, for example, creates a flip card. It analyzes the text within a training and can automatically create something out of it, which is fine. It's a cool way to actually create interactivity, and it looks so much better with it. So the time-consuming creation of interactive elements, which is what it really is, which is previously really reserved for instructional designers, is now possible for everyone. Does it look the same as an instructional designer or a specialist would have made it? No, but it's really great, and it helps with a good, and any good e-learning course has interactivity. Generating pictures is also something that's really cool. It's tools like Midjourney, like Stable Diffusion, Dolly. I mean, they keep getting better and better and are really more and more useful. They can create really nice pictures just with a prompt. I mean, we've seen today, you really need to prompt something that makes sense. I mean, anything that doesn't make sense in a prompt anyway. But it's not complicated, and in the near future, I think the AI picture generation will be a really disruptive element, because the model agencies, and think of the picture libraries. I mean, this, for example, is a scene showing a grumpy farmer in rubber boots holding a pitchfork and a beer, and there are chickens with a scary scarecrow, and the sun is setting in the horizon. I mean, this is just, it's hilarious. It was it was actually created for a training of one of our clients. All the pictures are basically from there. Then this is a picture about the European Union and its efforts for fraudulent and anti-fraud practices and that. This is interesting because it's a bit more photorealistic. It depicts a man telling a lady that her wig has slipped out of place. I mean, it's great. Whatever you type in as a prompt, there's almost always a good outcome, I think. It does have its limits, though. You get banned if you try to depict some political person or sexual content or violence or whatever. And I think it's good. It's better for that. It's great. And this is the photo or the picture I've used. This was my prompt, a portrait photo of 3 chimpanzees in suits. And they wear colorful sunglasses and stand in front of a dark blue background. So that was my picture, which was the prompt for Dolly in this case. So surprisingly good results. I mean, only with good prompting, true, but it saves time and fits mostly, I would say. And it's really fun to play around with it. And our clients used it for a couple of weeks now, since it's a fairly new feature, and they're happy with it. So I think it's cool. And then there's the idea, and then I've come to the third question anyway, and almost to the end of my speech here. To create content out of a single prompt would be nice. So we had that idea, and that's what we've seen today with the first I think lecture we had, to create something start with a single prompt and creating content out of thin air. Might sound strange, but it is a reality, as we've seen already. And the results are not always the greatest in the world, but it's really much better to start with 80% and then put in the last 20% instead of starting on a white page, And yeah, as I always say, just be mindful that you need to have the knowledge on the topic. So you need to verify the accuracy. This is how it could be, you just name your content, state the language, describe the content, and then click on create, and it creates some content. And if any of one of you have mobile phones ready, just hold it to the QR code and start the training. I've created this training. It's about, I think, keeping healthy in the home office. And I've created it out of a single prompt in the tool. And I was done in like 15 minutes or so. But I still think the content is good enough to be recognized as something that might help and that might work out great. So as I think it's works really great for general trainings, like some unspecific compliance content or personal development stuff, leadership stuff that is also uncritical in terms of, it doesn't need to be 100% accurate, but it's still good content. And this will evolve further, I'm pretty sure, because we're fooling around at the moment with dropping documents really and analyzing them and stuff like that, like we've already seen today. So what to expect in the near future, and then I'm almost done with the presentation. What can we expect? I think AI models will get more exact. And that's not what I think, but that's what all of the experts are saying. They will get more exact. They will be providing better results, and they will be able to process much more content, much more text than they've processed before. OpenAI wasn't able to, or GPT-3 wasn't able to, understand a lot of text. It has really only a short-term memory, forgets everything. and the new version is really able to, understand documents, loads of texts. And with more text, more can be analyzed. There can be more precise results and everything like that. And lastly, the multimodality will combine lots of things like, text, pictures, video, and code together. I had prepared the third question, but I think we're out of time since D is appearing on the screen.
Sorry, we are out of time.
All
So
right.
easy to get caught up in all of this fascinating new technology.
Yeah.
Soon it'll just be the norm for people who are coming behind us.
I think it will be, and if you try and if you want to fool around with it in the presentation and also in the links afterwards, there is a free trial. Try it out for yourself to see how it works, create some pictures with prompts and content, and have fun with it. Try it out. All right, Dee, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us.